following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. Hello, listeners around the world on radio streaming and podcast services. This is It's Not Therapy. I'm Liana and I am not a therapist, but I am your source for navigating the madness of mental health using my top 10 sayings for going good crazy. This week, no, we're not going to talk much about the inauguration down south. No, this week we're talking about girl bullies, focusing on adult girl bullies because we got to talk. This episode originally inspired by me watching 9 to 5 again. First of all, that movie holds up surprisingly well. But you know the one with Lily Tomlin, Dolly Parton, and Jane Fonda? Yeah, Lily Tomlin's character was kind of a girl bully in that she was that office gossip who just assumed Dolly Parton was sleeping with the boss because Dolly Parton looked like Dolly Parton in 1980, right? Girl bullying is notoriously hard to detect because it's hidden in apparent concern and big feelings and a sense of fairness. But in a lot of ways, the manipulations and gaslighting that girl bullies specialize in are more damaging, harder to counter than classic coercive bullying. Bullying works because the structures behind the bully, all bullies, allow for the bullying. It's not possible for a bully to be successful in a system that's working against them. So the types of behavior a bully gets away with in the case of, girl bullies and boy bullies are tied to negative gender stereotypes. Let me give you an example, okay? You know the way a tech CEO, Steve Jobs back in the day, Elon Musk, they can get away with sticking their nose where it doesn't belong, pontificating on things they have no training or skill in, screaming at people, throwing things, bullying people through social media moderation policies. That's considered not great male behavior, but we see it as normal. Boys will be boys, right? Girl bullies, on the other hand, thrive based on things that are considered, yes, bad behavior. We don't like them. But this bad behavior is normal for women. So lying, manipulating, falsely playing the victim, gossiping, you get the idea, right? 9 to 5 was sort of a parody of this, sort of a lot of things. It felt like it was really walking a tightrope back in 1980. It's really important to realize that systems back up bullies because effectively defending against them is hard because systems back up bullies. People who think that manipulation is just something women do are gonna let girl bullies get away with manipulation, even if they don't realize that they hold these stereotypical views, especially if they believe that those views aren't stereotypical, they're just true. The technical term for the most common type of girl bullying is relational aggression. Relational aggression. What does that mean? Relational aggression is a non-physical form of bullying that targets your relationships and reputation through manipulative, covert means. This includes threats of self-harm. If the suggestion is that the self-harm is your fault or you're somehow supposed to prevent it by doing what the person wants, beyond reasonable requests, like changing the way you say things. If somebody starts going, if you don't do this for me, I'm going to kill myself. No, that's not caring. That's a problem. Relational aggression is done by people of all genders. It is. You're going to hear some things in this show that men do it too. Yeah, men do it too. It's just much more common for women to be both perpetrator of relational aggression and victim of relational aggression. Much the same way men are more likely to be the perpetrators of violence, but also the victims of violence, right? We're dealing with gender a lot today. Now, there's a reason for this. Girls are more likely to be punished for direct confrontation than boys. Girls also form more closely knit friendships. So it's one of those sexist things that cuts both ways, right? Boys being very physically aggressive are considered normal, even though it's not good, causing a lot of trouble and, a lot of trauma in boys. Boys don't bond, right? They don't learn how to make friends because they're too busy trying to not get pushed around. So they don't form those close friendships. But girls end up with friends who turn into their worst nightmares. And some guys will say, yeah, like my first marriage. And you're not wrong. Or your second marriage. Or your third marriage. Some people take a while to learn. Sexist social assumptions also underlie what different types of bullies can get away with. Again, tech bros can openly abuse their staff because it's seen as, what did Mark Zuckerberg call it somewhat recently? Masculine energy. Masculine energy. Yeah. Similarly, women aren't as frequently checked on gossip, manipulation, or even flat out sexual harassment, right? Because that's just feminine wiles. Oh, if a girl lies about you, if a girl harasses you, it's just because she finds you attractive, right? No, it's not a compliment if a woman sexually harasses you. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. Bullies tend to use anything we do that's considered not normal against us, which is why the fact that men aren't bothered by a woman sexually harassing them. That's the problem, right? It's seen as normal for men to just suck it up. It's seen as normal for women to be victims, not the aggressors there. And in modern work and social environments, it is extremely easy to use things that make us weird against us because we know so much about each other thanks to open work environments and social media. We literally have fewer physical boundaries between us in our day-to-day life. I think that's why people liked work from home so much, right? Women who mock men for showing vulnerable emotions or treat any pushback from another woman as unhinged or rage are an example of this. And again, men do it too, but women do it more often and get away with it more. I'll give you an example of a hilariously baffling attack from someone on Blue Sky recently. The Blue Sky, the new Twitter that is turning into being exactly like Twitter, only left wing. Yeah. This person on Blue Sky, I have no idea who this person is, but they insisted I raged at them in some previous encounter on Twitter, and they said I was like a banshee that had never known love. Yep, they actually wrote that. A banshee that had never known love. Now, you guys know me. I immediately make the joke, right? I'm like, banshees don't need love. Banshees only need delicious, delicious death, right? It's a monster that wails when people die. What the heck? Is this a shot at me being a ginger? Oh, just go for the Irish creature, right? The idea that any adult would speak to another adult in this way is just not adult. But this is real familiar because girl bullies don't deal in logic, right? They deal in emotions because women are emotional creatures. How dare I make fun of this person for, God, purple prose, banshee that had never known love, right? Of course, all people, men, women, non-binary people, other types of people, gender fluid people, whatever, right? All people have both emotions and rational faculties. Women do not have a special insight into feelings, and men don't have the market cornered on rationality. Now, of course, it's more socially acceptable for women to be warm and fuzzy, and more socially acceptable for men to be stern and stoic. Did you see Trump's inauguration photo? Wah, right there. I don't have to say more. And that's what girl bullies exploit. I call it the nice game. think I've talked about this, but it's been a while. The nice game is a type of social warfare where the winner manipulates the loser into being not nice. That is assertive, direct, and willing to say no to things. For instance, if someone makes an excuse regarding why they didn't talk to you for a week with something like, I just needed to sort out my feelings, you lose the nice game if you say, I understand that, but I appreciate if you let me know that in future so it just isn't silence. Like, don't just disappear. In girl world, that's wrong. You're supposed to totally understand, sometimes even if you're talking to a man. Because you're a girl, you're supposed to totally understand. Similarly, if someone claims you harmed them through a totally not harmful behavior like providing constructive feedback and setting boundaries, and I'm sorry I'm being so mocking here, but I'm not kidding. People say these things. These are based on real life accounts that have happened fairly soon. So someone says you harmed them because you set a boundary or provided constructive feedback that they asked for, right? Oh no, you were cruel. You were cruel in that feedback. You lose the nice game if you say, look, I have the right to set boundaries and you asked for that feedback. You told me, let me have it. I can handle it. No. In girl world, that's wrong. You're supposed to, say it with me, totally understand. Now, of course, if they flat out insult you, no, you don't get the right to complain. No. You're supposed to, you know what's coming. Totally understand that they were just trying to be honest and helpful. Now, if you're sitting here listening to this and going, that makes no sense, you're correct. That's why it's the nice game, not the logic game. Girl world relies on the false belief that victimhood is the natural state for women, and that maliciousness, lies, and petty gossip are only things bad girls mean to do. Good girls are innately good. So anything they do is good. So any lies, maliciousness, or pettiness that they do, well, they didn't realize they were lying. They didn't mean to be petty. Bad girls are always bad, so they're not allowed to set boundaries. And good girls are always good, so no one should ever tell them no. You know that moment in the movie Wicked? Have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, it's a really good movie, right? Ariana Grande is amazing. But she has this moment that has become the meme where Glinda does this, she struts over the bed, does this dramatic flop, and then peeks back to see if Elphaba had noticed, right? This whole dramatic flop, did you see that? Is indicative of this nice game, right? Glinda is the good witch. So everything she does, no matter how backhanded, is just out of caring, concern, and compassion, even when it's completely selfish and performative. None of us girls made these rules. We're just stuck living in them. Girls who are proper girls are good girls, no matter how much they lie and manipulate. Girls who are weird or don't conform to standards of beauty or feminine behavior are branded bad. Of course, no one says the word bad out loud. That wouldn't be nice. But the code gets through the social circle like strychnine in a well. That's sort of the whole thing about Wicked, right? Right. And other people tend to play into these vicious social orders without realizing it. And I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about that, right? Do you have a story you think would be good for the show? Are you interested in sponsoring the show? Liana at nottherapyshow.com. That's the fastest way to get in touch with me. You can check out my website at nottherapyshow.com or go to @nottherapyshow on social medias. It's finally being monitored regularly thanks to my amazing social media person, Megan. We'll be back after this on It's Not Therapy. The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. We're back in It's Not Therapy. Still Liana Kersner, still not a therapist, still talking about girl bullies, how to spot them, how to avoid enabling them, and what to do if you're the target of one. But first, if you'd like to meet new friends and have fun in a safe and supportive environment, join us on March 15th for New World Events Unbirthday Ball, an Alice in Wonderland themed party with food, live music, dancing, and activities that gets you actively meeting new people. Just Google the Unbirthday Ball or go to newworldevents.ca for tickets and information. Like I said before the break, families, schools, businesses, and friend groups enable girl bullying, often unwittingly. They do this by not being aware that normal isn't always healthy. I mentioned I was planning on doing this topic to a few people, and the responses tended to be immediately, "Oh yeah, girls can be awful," usually using more colorful language than awful. The TV show Yellow Jackets, which is apparently coming back soon, rather graphically explores just how awful girls can be. And while the scenario of surviving a plane crash and living in the woods is far-fetched, the social dynamics of that show feel very, very real. And a big part of what makes the show brilliant is how no one is really empowered to call the absolute most evil character on the show, I'm calling it Shauna, on her crap. Because Shauna has the uncanny ability to manipulate people into feeling sorry for her and letting her off the hook. Girl bullies don't do well in systems that value accountability, assertiveness, and authenticity. Assertiveness, of course, is considered a masculine trait, and authenticity has gotten completely warped into rudeness and bullying. Similarly, accountability can be manipulated, but only if the people with the most power in a social dynamic allow it to be. Things like forced forgiveness and forced proximity allow girl bullies to thrive because the targets know that they're going to be stuck with them no matter what. If you want to find the bully, the girl bully, in a lot of social groups, you don't necessarily look for the person with the most power, because great power, great responsibility, right? Look for the person with the most influence. Now, what do I mean when I say forced proximity? It means forcing two people to be around each other who don't get along, either by trickery, guilt tripping, or other coercive measures. If people don't want to be around each other, minimizing contact is the best way to go. People need that space and time to cool down and let their rational brains do their thinking, not their fight or flight response. Girl bullies use the fact that some social groups, including a lot of families, don't allow people to avoid each other and play the nice game to take cruel digs in plain sight that bystanders don't know the context behind. If the target of the bullying reacts authentically, they suffer social consequences for making a scene. If the target avoids the social gatherings because they don't want the digs, they can't take them, well, then the girl bully makes up lies about why they're not there. Oh, they don't like you. Oh, they hate everybody else. Oh, they think they're too good for you. And nobody asks the person who's not there. Now let's talk about making a scene, right? Because making a scene, this is one that really frosts me. There's a difference between someone creating false drama that calls attention to themselves, the Galinda flop, right? And someone who is legitimately upset and just can't keep it in anymore. This week, conservative media harshly criticized Michelle Obama for not attending Trump's inauguration. Second inauguration. Oh God. But hey, if Michelle can't be in the same physical space with Trump and smile, then she did the right thing not going, because less than perfect manners would also have been savaged by the press. Meanwhile, Trump and men like Trump are allowed, even encouraged, to be outward bullies because it's seen as masculine, right? It's tough, it's strong. The MVP of the inauguration has to be Melania Trump. No. Hear me out. Points to Melania for consistency, for wearing a hat that prevented her husband from kissing her on the cheek. That was so on brand. But let's look at Melania Trump's whole deal, right? Like, The ongoing silent communications, swatting her husband's hand away in front of cameras, wearing jackets that say, "I really don't care, do you?" Disappearing for most of the campaign. Melania's a model. She knows what she's doing, or she was a model. In a way, she still is, because these are all proper feminine communications of displeasure, aren't they? Indirect, unclear, and passive-aggressive. But she's married to a bully. There's no other kind of communication. The only thing she really took flack for that kind of stuck was that jacket. Oh, unintentional pun. Flak jacket. Yeah. Why did the jacket, the "I really don't care to you" jacket, cause flack? Well, it made a scene. It was a statement, right? Oh yeah, Karen Pence skipped the inaugural too, but that was less of an issue, right? And that's the way unhealthy social dynamics work, right? Rules for me, not for thee. Different rules for different types of people. Ever had someone's bad behavior excused with, "That's just who he is. She's set in her ways." Or, "They're like that to everyone." This is a sign that something unhealthy is going on, because it's an indication that people are acknowledging bad behavior, but not telling the person who's doing the bad behavior to knock it off. It means, in practice, there are different rules for different people. And this is where we get into the girl bully concept of a queen bee. And I don't mean Beyonce. Beyonce's great. A queen bee is a woman in a dominant or favored position in a social setting who is emotionally immature and views other women as competition. You know Regina in Mean Girls? Right. They're the woman who scale the various social and business ladders and kick the ladder down after them so no other women can rise. What's cool about the show Yellow Jackets, yeah, I love that show, even though it's freaky. What's cool about Yellow Jackets is, unlike most other media showing a queen bee phenomenon, Yellow Jackets shows that the best manipulator isn't always the pretty, popular girl. In fact, Jackie, the pretty popular girl on Yellow Jackets, doesn't fare so well. A queen bee, a modern queen bee, can look like your average suburban mom with the nice house and the minivan, right? Of course, the suburban mom, secretly seething with rage, yeah, those women are usually called Karens, right? Which, okay, let's talk about the term Karen, okay? Because we can't really do a show on girl bullying without talking about Karens, right? That term, it's got a history, and I'm going to give you that history, okay? Because context. Karen refers to an entitled, excessively demanding, upper middle class, white American woman. It came from Black America, right? And this term has evolved with the years. In the antebellum era, the term was Miss Anne, because Anne was a very white name. More of you will recognize the 1990s term, Becky, popularized by Sir Mix-a-Lot's "Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt," right? We all know that from Baby Got Back, right? Becky morphed into Barbecue Becky, the white lady that doesn't mind her manners when she's invited to the cookout, brings messed up potato salad, and doesn't help clean up. Other names like Corner Star Carolyn came for white women, you know, the one who claims, "Oh, he touched me," when a black boy even breathes near her, right? And then security camera busts her for no, he was nowhere near her. Yeah. So where did Karen come from? How did it go from Becky to Carolyn to Karen? It might be the very first ad for the Nintendo Switch. A woman in this commercial with one of those bobs brings, you know, the bob hairstyles are like really severe. You know, she's bringing this portable game console to a rooftop party. She was nicknamed Nintendo Switch Karen and Antisocial Karen just because of how awkward it was. Like, "Oh yeah, guys, I brought my game console because I'm going to ignore all of you," right? And that was back in 2016. And let's face it, we all know one of those women, possibly more than that. But they're not usually named Karen, and it's gotta suck to actually be named Karen right now. So don't worry, Karens, the term will eventually evolve. Becky got their groove back, right? What's worse is it sucks that "don't be a Karen" has now been put into use to stifle women with legitimate complaints. And this is why I don't like call-out culture, okay? Every attempt we make to call bad behavior what it is just becomes another tool in a truly abusive person's toolbox to control other people. Remember, the whole thing revolves around normal and being not normal. So when call-outs become normal, it fuels relational aggression instead of reducing it. Because, oh, she's not lying about you. She's calling you out, right? Listen and believe. The only thing that actually works to reduce girl bullying, which is usually covert, is structures of true accountability. Any system that forces people to attend things, then punishes any so-called outburst, is going to reward people who needle someone until they snap. Accordingly, rewarding people who will tell you there's an interpersonal problem before it gets to that point that it explodes will keep things running more smoothly. If you just say, if you've got a problem with them, don't come, you're rewarding the person that is causing the problem. Work it out. Find a way to just be, okay, you can go over there. You can go over there. You don't have to talk to each other. And if I see you too near each other, that's it, right? These sorts of social norms have changed. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer. I was of the generation, you go over there, you go out of there, you don't like each other, just leave it be. That's not the way it is anymore. We're in this forced forgiveness, we're all friends here era. And the Karen phenomenon came out of the reality that upper middle class white women have a tendency to look down on non-white socialization that tends to be more boisterous and less concerned without keeping up proper appearances, proper manners, right? If a woman of any other race complained the way some of these, upper class white women do, they'd be making a scene. And if any man did it, he'd risk being arrested. Of course, he was really rich. Then he pulls a "don't you know who I am?" Racist and sexist expectations figure prominently into relational aggression because relational aggression is about what's normal and normal shifts, right? Relational aggression relies heavily on the idea of reading the room, which is sort of a form of mind reading, right? Sure, reading the room's a real phenomenon, but it's hard to read the room when you've been socialized differently than the people who control the room. Trust me, I was socialized around Afro-Caribbean people, Jane Finch, baby, and I'm constantly accused of being enraged when I'm just joking around. Knowing when to speak, when not to speak, how to dress, how not to dress, it's all intrinsically linked to class. Hence the poignance of, "Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. She looks like one of those rap guys' girlfriends." And then just kind of beats around the bush until, she finally has to come up with, "She's just so black." She finally has to say it, right? What's wrong with it? It's black. That's why that opening to Baby Got Back spoke so loud. There's absolutely no monoculture that doesn't facilitate relational aggression or girl bullying. And that's gotten worse with so-called progress, right? We're getting more and more and more divided the more we try to include. And I will get into that after the break. Don't worry. Questions, comments, concerns, Liana at nottherapyshow.com, nottherapyshow.com, at nottherapyshow on Twitter, X, Instagram, all the socials. And join me at the Unbirthday Ball, a great place to go get crazy and make new friends on March 15th. Google the Unbirthday Ball or go to newworldevents.ca. Join me at the Barry Women's Show at the Lip Lady Canada booth to get a discount coupon for the upcoming on-birthday ball. I'll be dressed like the evil queen from Snow White. I'll be hard to miss. Be back after the break. The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. We're back in It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kersner. I'm still not a therapist. We're still talking relational aggression, better known as girl bullying. Before the break, I was mentioning how divides driven by so-called progress have made things worse instead of better, right? Last weekend, I ended up reading a selection of articles about left-wing parents who, quote-unquote, lost their sons to Joe Rogan and Donald Trump. And reading those articles, I was really struck by the skip step in the reasoning. Someone doesn't just jump right into thinking guys like Joe Rogan and Donald Trump make sense. First, they get swallowed by the culture of grievance. We live in the age of grievance. Pointing out how terrible everything is a great way to become popular quickly, as long as you blame the right people. Look at the polls in Canadian politics right now. It's practically proportional to how much a given leader of a party complains. Everything's bad. Everything's bad. Canada's broken. Top of the polls, right? But the minute you suggest anything to improve things, people line up to point out how terrible your idea is so they can be popular with another group of people, because pointing out how everything's broken is popular. And what's this gotten us? Stagnation, apathy, and a lack of innovation. And stagnation is not just going nowhere. Stagnation means that the problems that need solving get worse. Wages have not kept pace with inflation, period, end of story. It's a race to the bottom while everybody's pointing fingers. And those finger pointings make the race to the bottom faster. The way girl bullying infected the Me Too movement some years back, yeah, I'm going there, it created a serious problem. Tarana Burke, the woman who started the whole thing, most people don't know her name, right? The queen bees of Me Too completely inverted the whole purpose of the original Me Too concept. I invite you to go on the Me Too website to see what it is really about, because it's not what, the Guardian articles lead you to believe. Instead of the tenets of compassion and healing you'll see on that website, Me Too became a very high-profile campaign to call out men where simply being accused was proof a man was guilty. Now, obviously, you set up an environment like that, girl bullies are going to have a field day, right? To be clear, the vast majority of Me Too participants are likely telling the truth in completely good faith. Any mistakes they make, totally well-meaning, right? But let's be real, feminist journalists really need to let go of the Johnny Depp thing, okay? Whatever you really think about it, really, let it go. Blake Lively isn't Amber Heard. Justin Baldoni isn't Johnny Depp. Let it go like Elsa, okay? Because rightly or wrongly, young adults now, teenagers, young adults, so many of them have been taught that having grievance makes you important and worthy. And young white men have been sent the message that they're the only ones not allowed to have grievance, regardless of social class, right? Poor white boys, not allowed to have grievance, even though they're poor, right? Even lower middle class, middle class, things are tough right now. Not allowed to have grievance. No, you're white man. Nope, sorry. No, you're white, straight, cisgender men. Nope, you have no problems, right? Enter Joe Rogan and Donald Trump, who provide a steady stream of grievance for white boys, right? And apparently Latino boys. If you talk to these young men, sometimes not so young men, A lot of them have a girl bully in their past. And according to them, no one believed that it was a serious problem. And based on research, I have no reason to think they're not telling the truth. That was a negative, double negative. I believe them. You know, young men are legitimately afraid to act with women for fear of false accusations. They live in fear of getting labeled creepy. Meanwhile, stuff's getting more expensive. Jobs are getting harder to come by. And you really can't feel good about yourself when you submit 100 job applications and don't even get an interview. Well, blessed people like the Premier of Ontario are telling people, just go down to the local store and fill out an application. You can't do that anymore. You need to go through a computer. And you can't live alone. You can't have your own apartment off a retail wage. You certainly can't raise a family off even 2 retail wages. Sometimes the idea of getting physically punched feels preferable to being told these struggles don't matter because patriarchy, right? It's just, think about it, right? And a lot of girl bullies, well, we've seen the studies about the intersection of narcissism and organized feminism. A lot of girl bullies became feminist commentators, and bullying behaviors in the media became normalized. I'm looking at you, J.K. Rowling. Yeah, J.K. Rowling this time. Oh, it's not about trans people for a change. Oh, no. She recently made headlines for complaining that no one in publishing was condemning Neil Gaiman's alleged behavior, even though Neil Gaiman has had multiple projects like totally canceled or paused. Good Omens season 3 is becoming just a movie, right? There's been consequences. He's been pilloried on social media, like trending pilloried, right? But that's the thing, right? No matter how wrong somebody like J.K. Rowling is, no matter how many times she just pretty much calls for someone else's blood, you know, like the consequences they would face is not crucify him, right? She gets defended. Because she was traumatized decades ago and she just cares so much. Oh, by the way, she has the right to her views, right? She only has the right to her views because she can sue. No one else allowed a right to her views because she'll sue them, right? Emotions explain behavior. I truly believe that the root of J.K. Rowling's issues is trauma. Emotions don't justify bad behavior. And it doesn't mean that people have to tell you you're right when you're wrong. Top 10 phrase, don't let problems that aren't your fault lead to mistakes that are. This kind of stuff, it's hiding behind the paternalistic belief that a woman's accusations don't cause as much harm. And a lot of these young men, if they're listening, are like, all right. Oh, who am I kidding? Those young men turned it off the minute I said feminism. Yeah. But it's true, right? Oh, Joni, crazy Joni. You know, she's just damaged. She doesn't really know what she's saying, right? She's seen as not one of the richest people in Britain. She's seen as, oh, poor wee lamb. You know, she plays on these feminine stereotypes of victimhood while claiming to help women and girls, which has been the problem with short-term feminist quick fixes for some time now. Women's shelters give women a place to go when they're abused, but women's shelters don't stop abuse. And playing on paternalism for short-term gain doesn't do anything to reduce the sexist stereotypes that are still out there. We can't create a truly equal society for everyone where bullies of both genders play on gender stereotypes to keep everyone else controlled and scared. So how do you handle a girl bully? I'll get to that after the break. Questions, comments, concerns, Liana at nottherapyshow.com. Nottherapyshow.com is the website. At nottherapyshow on social media. Check out the Unbirthday Ball, March 15th. Just Google the Unbirthday Ball or go to newworldevents.ca. Come, have a great time, go good crazy, and meet new friends. We'll be back after the break.
The following
following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. We're back in It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kersner. I'm still not a therapist. And we're in our final segment on our show on girl bullying. It's one of those shows where I feel like I've just cracked the surface and I've been talking for 40 minutes. Lord. Okay, so what do we do about it? The dumbest advice ever given here is just stand up to them. Won't work. Girl bullies, they'll play the victim and turn people against you. Standing up to a male bully sometimes kind of works. I was a kid. It got me punched in the head more than it really worked. But, a girl bully? Nah, with a girl bully, you stand up to him, the tears start, and you're in trouble because she's crying. And then all the paternalism kicks in, and they just want to stop her from crying. No? Yeah, right. Standing up to a girl bully doesn't work. You have two options. Stand your ground, which is not quite the same as standing up. You'll see why. Or leave the social group that the girl bully influences. Leaving is easiest. You'll have to deal with the fact that they'll gossip about you. But you're out of that group. Who cares, right? It's usually the best option. Sometimes you can't. That leaves standing your ground, right? Now, I warn you, as somebody who's done this numerous times, standing your ground against a girl bully is a long, tedious, exhausting process that requires a lot of patience and self-compassion because the girl bully will lie about you. She will make you out to be a loser or an abuser. She'll do a ton of Galinda flops right when people are looking, right? But eventually she will get caught. Document everything. I mean everything. Record every possible conversation. Screen cap text chats in real time. Screen cap. A lot of messenger programs allow people to delete their communications on their side. Don't rely on Messenger or Telegram or Discord to archive your conversations. Keep track of dates. Let trusted people know what's going on while it's going on. People who saw things go down when it happened are a big asset when you combine it with records of the conversation. The bits you have. You're not going to have everything. Do your best. These people will also help keep you going when the girl bully tries to gaslight you with allegedly how cruel you were to her, because your own emotions will start making you think, I must have done something. It can't be nothing. You need those people like I had, like this week, saying to me, no, she's just turning it around on you, right? Something that really helps with this is owning your mistakes, right? Own your mistakes, even if it means you'll be piled on at the time. Girl bullies can rarely bring themselves to really admit mistakes. They'll say, for instance, oh, they didn't mean to do anything bad. They only did what they did. They didn't realize they were doing it. They see now that it looked like lying, but they were just so scared. I kid you not. And some people will buy this in the short term, even though it's nonsense. There's something that goes off in some people's heads, like that paternal instinct in men or that hero instinct in men, the maternal instinct in women. When a proper girl goes, I was so scared. Some people just ding, ding, ding. Oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Don't cry, right? Don't try to convince these people it won't work. Remember I said this was long, tedious, and exhausting? Yeah. This is going to be hard, right? Admitting your mistakes is hard enough because she's not going to admit hers. But remember, you're admitting your mistakes for you so that when she accuses you of not being able to admit you're wrong and attacks anyone who stands up to her, you'll know it's not true, right? Okay. This part's even harder. Acknowledge the girl bully's fear. Treat it as real so you don't want her to be afraid. And then reassert that what she did was not okay. Again, right? I understand what you're afraid, but there are better ways of handling it than this. Focus on her behavior. Try not to get aggressive, right? Just, I understand that you're afraid, but lying still erodes the relationship, right? Set those boundaries. Keep clarifying. You accept your feelings. It's terrible to be afraid. You can't accept her behavior. You might be able to understand why she did it, but it's got to stop now. No more lying. If you continue to be reasonable while she continues to be emotional, the cracks in her story will start to show because she's going for big drama, not consistency, right? And eventually, she'll get frustrated that you're not playing along. Then she will do the unthinkable. She'll stop being nice. Oh no, it's not over. When the nastiness ensues, when she just goes, she'll blame you for it. She'll blame you for all of it. Of course, you made her. You scared her. She'll accuse you of raging or screaming at her, and she'll be convincing to people who weren't there because her own conscience will be screaming at her by this point, and she'll probably have lied so many different ways to so many different people that she is legitimately terrified of getting caught. And she may send a male bully or multiple male bullies after you at this point. Tell them to stay out of it if you can. Of course, stand your ground, but standing your ground means staying in place. Don't try to rush the facts overcoming the lies. Just repeat the facts again and again. The goal is to let people catch her in lies and mistakes so that her veneer of being a perfect victim falls apart. Now, don't expect consequences. No, don't expect her to face any consequences, okay? People won't want to punish the poor wee lamb. No, the poor wee lamb is a poor wee lamb, right? People will just want to forget about it. They'll want to forget about her and move on because they don't want to admit that they were taken. It won't feel satisfying, but you'll have survived. Remember, document everything. In the nice game, there's nothing nicer than facts. All right, that's our show. Hope you found it helpful. Questions, comments, concerns, Liana at nottherapyshow.com. Nottherapyshow.com is the website. At nottherapyshow on social media. Remember the Unbirthday Ball, March 25th, newworldevents.ca. Alice in Wonderland themed party with food, live music, dancing, activities that'll get you actively meeting new people. The Unbirthday Ball, newworldevents.ca for tickets and information. I'll be at the Barrie Women's Show this weekend at the Bradford Gardens. And remember, your crazy is only a problem if it's hurting you. I'll be going good crazy, cosplaying. See you there. See you next week. Bye.